uh, I guess we can start the showcase, right, Tammy?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So, who would like to get it out of the way?
Now, Mitch, that is not a positive way to put it.
Oh, I thought that was a positive way.
No, who wants to
Okay.
get it out of the way? Getting something out of the way is not a positive way to say that. You need a mind shift.
I do need a
Here's the
mind shift then.
thing.
Yeah.
Which of you has the best lesson here and cannot wait to share it with us?
Okay, let me try that. Which
Okay.
of you has the best lesson here and would like to share it with us? See, so people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Okay, I just learned a new trick.
I didn't realize you were a dog. God, you make me laugh. Okay, I'm going to be quiet now, and whoever's sharing, let's do it. Let's
Okay,
go.
so I see Nicole. Nicole volunteered to go first.
So I did a little bit different. I asked Mitch if I could do it like this. So I made a PowerPoint up and I recorded myself speaking over it. But just so you guys know, I made worksheets and everything I do, I fine tune after I use them, and I haven't used these yet. So um, if you guys find them useful and want to manipulate them, have at it. So let's get into it. So, so I made Cynefin strategies worksheets, and I did this because I used to work in a boys detention center, and a lot of these uh, students, boys, had difficulty understanding why they acted out, and that's what made me think of doing something like this. So I made this based on like education, but you can change it to anything. I made two different versions. This version is for adults. I said educators. And the reason why I have it set up this way is because adults usually are a lot easier at reading the directions and then finding where to put information. So I have the simple, the complicated, and the
Okay, I
complex.
have to ask. What adults are you working with?
Yeah, well, I said that's why I said usually.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Oh my God.
um, so I put the simple, the complicated, and the complex in the beginning. I gave very basic information of what each one of these strategies would entail. I gave very simple explanations or examples of what each one of them would entail. And of course, these are my interpretation of simple. Um, it depends on the situation. They can be in any of the other categories depending on, your situation. And then at the bottom, I put chaotic because to me, chaotic needs to be totally separated out. Since a lot of things that happen in my school a lot lately, I will say, um, it seems to always begin with a chaotic situation. So I have that set out alone. Um, and I have it as identifying the problem, what had to be handled immediately. For example, did you have to separate the kid? Did they have to be taken out of class? What happened immediately? And then how was it handled? Did you have to call security? Did the teacher have to leave the room? Did so on and so forth. Number three, what is the follow-up problem? So as we learned that there's usually a problem behind the chaotic problem. So that way it helps us to identify what that problem or situation scenario actually is. And then it leads to the other side of the worksheet. I will break that down. Sorry, I'm a little ahead of myself. So then I break it down to simple. As we know, simple is usually a cause and effect type of situation. Complicated can be a little bit more complicated where you look for your alternative solutions, name as many as you can find, and then say what solution you chose and why you chose it, because sometimes we choose solutions and we don't know why we chose it. And this also leaves a paper trail. I apologize. My husband's in the background here. It leaves a paper trail of why that solution was chosen.
Which,
Maybe,
by the way, is where husbands should be, right?
well, he just got home. So, of course, he's got a lot to say to everybody here. Um, So that's the reason why I have it stated like that. Then we go to our complex. um, identifying your problem, what probes did you use, what evidence did you gather. And obviously, I only put 2 lines for everything, but if we were really to use this, obviously it's, could be a lot longer than this. It's just for space safe or space saving techniques at this point. That's why I only put 2 lines. What's the solution that was implemented? And then explain the result of your solution. And explain whether or not you need to revisit it. To me, when I look at complex, I think more of like an OODA loop where you have to constantly go back and look at things again. I don't believe that complex ever is an end unless you can't go any further with it. So then we go to the student version. And if you remember the adult version or the educator version, this one is laid out very differently. I did it more like a chunking thing, and those in education know that chunking seems to help students focus a little bit more. So if we look at this one, this is the chaotic. If it's not chaotic, I purposely did this on a separate sheet so they could bypass this if it didn't start with chaotic. But if a chaotic situation is the one that they're dealing with first, I put this one so whoever's dealing with the student at the moment can help them to focus themselves, and hopefully as they de-escalate, they could put their thoughts and feelings and everything down on paper. At the top, I have a link to feeling words. What I notice also is so many students have these big feelings and don't know what they are feeling. So it allows them to, read some words and maybe be able to identify those feelings of why they acted the way they did. So during or throughout all the student version, I have, how do you feel? Why do you feel this way? So on and so forth. So in this one, as you can see, it has similar questions as the educator version, but this one says, how did you feel before the situation and why? And then how did you feel during the situation and why? And then how do you feel now? So kind of like that bell curve, what started you to feel this way? How did you feel in the moment? And now that it's over, tell me how you're feeling now that you're de-escalating. And then helping them to identify the situation that led to this. Then, of course, we then go back to the simple and the complicated. So again, this depends on what situation they're going to be dealing with, and more feeling questions, simple questions. Even kids who have simple questions have big feelings sometimes. Sometimes they feel like it's a lot more complicated than it really is. So it allows them to get those feelings out. Then we have the complicated version down further. I gave a little bit more information. Students a lot of times need a little more prompting than the educators do. Again, more feeling words, the same type of questions as the educator version. And then if we move in even further, then there's the complex. A little bit more information again at the top to define what a complex situation might be, and a lot of the same types of questions as the educator, again, adding in feeling words to this. So that was my idea of how I would use these worksheets. And to tell you the truth, I think this is not just an educator thing. I could use this even with my own kids. So that was my, that was my idea for coming up with this, is to actually get them thinking. All right, that's all I got.
Wow. Yeah, just so I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking so many things. It's first of all allowing people to be self-directed, which gives them ownership of their actions and their future actions, which is what we really want for everybody, right?
Right.
Kids and adults. And an alternative use of this is one could prompt people through them instead of having them do it completely alone. Um, you know, you could you you could ask, I'm looking at the question here, so what was the problem or situation that occurred, and how do you feel right now? And sometimes, using this could give you as the adult or another adult the ability to co-regulate with the child and patterns so that they could use this on their own afterwards. And these questions are ingenious. They really represent something that we teach in the conflict course, which is motivational interviewing. Um, and motivational interviewing is a way of asking people questions so that they themselves decide to change. And that's basically what you've done here. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's really amazing. I don't know, Tammy, did you like it at all?
You know what I loved about it was the clarity with which it can be. Like I could have picked this up, and thank you for going over it, Nicole. And I could have thought, and I could have gathered my own thoughts, and I just thought it was amazing. And what I love too is that you had the two versions, right? Adults and students, and I think that is really extremely helpful. So excellent job, Nicole. Excellent.
Yeah, thanks.